Welcome back to Arsenal Daily News, where we bring you the most comprehensive coverage of everything happening at the club you love. Today's episode is absolutely packed with developments that could shape Arsenal's entire season. We're diving deep into major team selection changes ahead of a crucial away trip, analyzing why the Gunners were completely shut out at a major international awards ceremony despite our incredible form, and breaking down what all of this means for our title ambitions. First up, we'll reveal the 4 significant changes Mikel Arteta is planning for the Everton clash at the brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium. After a frustrating performance against bottom-place Wolves that required a last-gasp own goal to secure 3 points, the boss is ready to shake things up. We're talking about returning star players, fresh legs after well-earned breaks, and one potentially explosive decision at center forward that could define our attacking approach for weeks to come. Captain Martin Odegaard is back. He's not the only familiar face reclaiming his spot in the starting 11. Then we'll tackle the elephant in the room. The Best FIFA Awards 2025 saw Arsenal walk away empty-handed. 0 individual honors. 0 players in the Team of the Year. Our manager overlooked for Coach of the Year despite transforming this club into genuine title contenders. Declan Rice's thunderbolt against Real Madrid, somehow not good enough for the Puskas Award. It was a complete shutout, and we need to talk about what that means for a club that sits top of both the Premier League and Champions League right now. The timing couldn't be more intriguing. While others collect their trophies in Qatar, Arsenal are busy collecting points in the competitions that actually matter. We're leading the Premier League with 36 points from 16 matches. We're perfect in the Champions League with 18 points from 6 games. We're competing on all 4 fronts with cup ties against Crystal Palace and Portsmouth on the horizon. So are these award snubs a sign that the football world still doesn't respect what Arteta is building here? Or are they simply motivation fuel for a squad that's hungry to prove everyone wrong by actually winning the silverware that counts? Stick around because we're breaking down every tactical change, every selection dilemma, every controversial decision, and every missed opportunity for recognition. From Calafari's suspension ending to the Gyokeres goal drought reaching 5 matches, from PSG's awards dominance to our own phenomenal start to the campaign, we've got the complete story. This is Arsenal Daily News, and we got everything you need to know about the Gunners right now. Let's get into it. Arsenal Daily News. Major team changes expected for Everton trip. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we have some really interesting team news to discuss as Arsenal prepare for their upcoming trip to face Everton at the brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium. Manager Mikel Arteta is planning some significant changes to the starting 11 after a performance against Wolves that left many fans, and even the players themselves feeling frustrated. Let me start by setting the scene for you. Arsenal did manage to beat Wolves in their last match, but it was far from convincing. In fact, the Gunners had to rely on a very late own goal to claim all 3 points against a team that is currently sitting at the bottom of the Premier League table. When you need a stroke of luck like that to beat the worst team in the division, it naturally raises some serious questions about the performance level. The reaction after that Wolves game was quite telling. Both Captain Martin Odegaard and midfielder Declan Rice made their feelings very clear after match. These are not players who typically complain publicly, so when they speak out, you know something is bothering them. The performance was concerning enough that it sparked frustration, not just from the fans watching at home, but from the players on the pitch who knew they should have done much better. Now, here is something quite significant. Mikel Arteta has enjoyed his first midweek off from action for the first time since the week of August 25th. This is actually a big deal, because it means the manager has been able to work closely with his players in training for the first time on Tuesday after allowing the squad a rare couple of days off. Having proper training time without a match to prepare for is invaluable. It gives Arteta the chance to work on tactical issues, address the problems from the Wolves game, and get the team sharp for the challenges ahead. But now all that attention turns to the weekend, where Everton await Arsenal's arrival at their brand new stadium. This is going to be a challenging away trip, and Arteta knows his team needs to produce a much better performance than what we saw against Wolves. Let me talk you through the changes that Arteta is able to make for this game. Some of them are pretty obvious and straightforward, while others are more debatable and will definitely spark some discussion among fans. First, the clear-cut change. Ricardo Calafari has now served his one-match ban and will be available for selection again. On the other hand, Ben White picked up an injury, which means he is almost certainly going to be the one to make way from the starting back for that play against Wolves. So Calafari comes back in. White drops out due to injury. That one is simple enough. Now, let me get to the more interesting changes, starting with a big one in the attacking midfield position. Ebereki Ease was largely ineffective against Wolves. He just did not have the impact that Arteta would have hoped for because of that disappointing performance. This prompts a return of Captain Martin Odegaard to the starting 11. Odegaard is absolutely crucial to how Arsenal play, and getting him back into the team is a major boost. Here is an important point about Ease. After his struggles playing on the left side at Aston Villa in a previous match, it would not make sense necessarily to move him there either for this away trip to Everton. So it looks like Ease is going to be dropped from the starting lineup altogether rather than being shuffled to a different position. This brings us to another fascinating change. Noni Madueke has been given a full 10-day break after his brilliant brace in Brugge. That European performance was outstanding, and now he is refreshed and ready to come into the team. Madueke is going to slot into the left flank for this match. This is an exciting development because Madueke showed in that Brugge game exactly what he is capable of when he is on form and full of confidence. On the right side, there is absolutely no debate. Bukayo Saka almost single-handedly won the game against Wolves. He was head and shoulders above everyone else on the pitch and is completely undroppable for Arteta right now. Saka will definitely keep his place in the starting 11, and rightly so after that performance. Now we come to what might be the biggest and most controversial call that Arteta has to make, and that is at the center forward position. This is where things get really interesting. Victor Gyokeres came off the pitch after blanking in his 5th consecutive appearance. Let me repeat that because it is quite a concerning statistic. Gyokeres has now failed to score in 5 games in a row. That is a significant drought for a striker who was brought in to provide goals. When a striker goes 5 matches without finding the back of the net, the manager has to seriously consider whether to keep faith with that player or make a change. And according to this report, Arteta might indeed be ready to make that change. The alternative option is Gabriel Jesus. Now, Jesus was absolutely crucial to the winning goal against Wolves. He was the one who forced the own goal from Yersa Mosquera that ultimately won Arsenal the 3 points. More than that, Jesus has impressed in his 2 cameo appearances since returning from injury. Even in limited minutes, he has shown energy, movement, and quality. Because of those impressive cameos, Jesus could very well be in with a genuine chance to start on Merseyside. This would be a huge call from Arteta. Dropping Gyokeres after 5 games without a goal and bringing in Jesus to lead the line instead. It is the kind of decision that could either look brilliant if Jesus scores and Arsenal win comfortably, or it could backfire if things do not go to plan. These are the tough choices that managers have to make, and Arteta is clearly not afraid to be ruthless if he feels it is necessary. Let me now walk you through the full changed Arsenal 11 that is being proposed for the match against Everton. In goal, we have Raya. No change there. He is the established number 1 and will continue between the posts. The back 4 from right to left is Timber, Saliba, Hincapie, and Calafari. So Calafari returns from suspension, as we discussed, and slots in at left back. Timber is at right back, with the central defensive partnership of Saliba and Hincapie continuing. In midfield, we have a trio of Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard. Declan Rice keeps his place after being one of the players who voiced his frustration following the Wolves game. Rice is absolutely vital to this Arsenal team, and there was never any question about him starting. Alongside him is Zubimendi, who provides that defensive stability and ball progression from deep. And then, of course, we have the return of Captain Martin Odegaard in the attacking midfield role. Getting Odegaard back is massive for Arsenal. Up front, the attacking trio from right to left is Saka, Jesus, and Madueke. Saka on the right wing, where he was outstanding against Wolves. Gabriel Jesus through the middle as a center forward, potentially replacing the out-of-form Gyokeres. And Noni Madueke on the left wing, fresh from his 10-day break, and looking to build on that brilliant brace he scored in Brugge. This is quite a significantly changed team from the one that struggled past Wolves. For changes in total, if we count them up, Calafiori comes in for the injured White. Odegaard returns in place of the ineffective Ease. Maduk comes in on the left wing. And potentially the biggest change of all, Jesus could replace Gyokeres at center forward. Now, let me give you some context about why these changes matter so much. Arsenal are in a position where they cannot afford to drop points, especially not in matches they should be winning. The performance against Wolves was a real wake-up call. Yes, they got the 3 points, but the manner of the victory was far from convincing. You cannot rely on late own goals from the opposition to bail you out every week. What made it even more concerning was that Wolves are the bottom team in the Premier League. These are exactly the kinds of matches that title-challenging teams need to win comfortably. They need to dominate from start to finish, create multiple chances, score 2 or 3 goals, and never give the opposition a sniff. Instead, Arsenal labored through the match and needed a 94th-minute own goal to escape with the win. That is why the frustration from Odegaard and Rice was so significant. These are winners. These are players who demand high standards from themselves and their teammates. When they publicly express their disappointment with the performance, even after a win, it shows that the standards at Arsenal are high, and that is a good thing. But it also means that Arteta knows he needs to get more from his team. The midweek break could not have come at a better time. Having that opportunity to work with the players in training, to drill specific patterns of play, to address the weaknesses that were exposed against Wolves, that is invaluable for a manager. Arteta will have used this time wisely to prepare his team properly for the Everton challenge. Everton away is never an easy fixture, and this season they have their brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium, which will be buzzing with atmosphere. The home fans will be right behind their team, and Everton will be fighting for every ball. Arsenal need to be ready for a battle. They need to be physically up for the fight, but they also need to show much more quality on the ball than they did against Wolves. The return of Martin Odegaard is absolutely crucial in this regard. Odegaard is the creative heartbeat of this Arsenal team. He is the one who unlocks defenses with his passing. He is the one who sets the tempo and controls the rhythm of the game. Without him, Arsenal can look disjointed and lacking in creativity. With him, they have a completely different dimension to their play. Ease tried to fill that role against Wolves, and it just did not work. Through no fault of his own necessarily, but Ease is not Odegaard. He does not have that same ability to dictate games and find those killer passes that split defenses wide open. So getting the captain back is a massive boost for Arsenal's attacking threat. The decision on Maduk is also really interesting. Arteta has clearly been managing his minutes carefully, giving him that full 10-day break to rest and recover after his outstanding performance in Brugge. That shows careful squad management from Arteta. He knows that Maduk is a player who can make a real difference, but he also knows that you need to keep players fresh, especially with a relentless schedule in the Premier League. Now Maduk comes back into the team fully refreshed and hopefully full of confidence after scoring 2 goals in that European match. If he can bring that same level of performance to the Premier League, Arsenal will have a serious weapon on that left side. Maduk has pace. He has trickery. He can beat defenders one-on-one. And he can finish. All the attributes you want from a wide player. But perhaps the most talked about decision will be what happens at center forward. The Gyokeres situation is becoming a real concern. 5 games without a goal is a significant drought for any striker, but especially for one who was brought in with such high expectations. Strikers live and die by their goal return, and right now Gyokeres is going through a very difficult patch. The question is whether Arteta sticks with him and hopes that the goals will come, or whether he makes a change now and brings in Jesus. There are arguments on both sides. On one hand, sometimes strikers need that continued backing from their manager. They need to play through the rough patch, and eventually they will find their form again. Taking them out of the team can sometimes damage their confidence even further. On the other hand, Arsenal need goals now. They need players who are in form and producing. Jesus has looked sharp in his cameo appearances. He is moving well, he is hungry, and he made the crucial contribution against Wolves even in limited time. If Jesus starts and scores, it could kickstart his season and give Arsenal a different option at striker. This is the kind of decision that defines a manager's season. Arteta has to weigh up loyalty versus form, potential versus current output, and make the call that he believes gives Arsenal the best chance of winning at Everton. From the information we have, it sounds like he might be leaning towards giving Jesus the start. That would be a bold call, but sometimes boldness is what is needed. Let me also talk about the broader implications of these team selections. Arsenal are in a fight for major honors this season. Every game matters. Every point counts. The difference between winning the Premier League and finishing second could come down to just a few points over the course of the entire season. That means performances like the one against Wolves simply cannot become a pattern. Arteta knows this better than anyone. He has built a team that is capable of competing at the highest level. But capability means nothing if you do not deliver on match day. The changes he is making for the Everton game show that he is not willing to accept substandard performances. If you do not perform, you get dropped. It does not matter who you are or how much you cost. The team comes first. This is the mentality that champions have. They demand excellence every single week. They do not make excuses. They do not settle for just scraping results. They go out and dominate matches, especially against teams they should be beating comfortably. The Everton match is a real test of whether Arsenal can respond to the wake-up call of the Wolves' performance. Can they go to a difficult away ground and put in a commanding display? Can the players who come into the team, like Odegaard and Maduk, make an immediate positive impact? Can Jesus, if he starts, prove that he deserves to lead the line ahead of Gyokeres? These are the questions that will be answered this weekend. And for Arsenal fans, it is an exciting moment because change can bring fresh energy and new momentum. Sometimes teams need to shake up. Sometimes players need to be reminded that their place in the starting 11 is not guaranteed. That competition for places can bring out the best in everyone. As we wrap up this analysis, the key takeaway is clear. Arsenal are making 4 significant changes for the Everton trip. Calafiori returns from suspension. Odegaard comes back to replace the ineffective Ease. Maduk gets his chance on the left after a well-earned rest. And Jesus could take over from the goal-shy Gyokeres at center forward. It is a team that on paper looks stronger and more balanced than the one that struggled against Wolves. But football is not played on paper. It is played on the pitch, and Arsenal need to go to Everton and prove that these changes make a difference. They need to play with intensity, with quality, and with that winning mentality that separates the great teams from the good ones. Thanks so much for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think of these team changes. Do you agree with dropping Gyokeres for Jesus? Are you excited to see Maduk get his chance? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, come on you Gunners. Arsenal miss out completely at FIFA Best Awards 2025. Hello Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we need to discuss what happened at the Best FIFA Awards 2025 ceremony that took place in Qatar on Tuesday. And I have got to be honest with you, it was not a good night for Arsenal Football Club. Not a good night at all. The complete shutout. Let me start with a headline that is going to frustrate every Arsenal supporter watching this video. Arsenal failed to win a single honor at the Best FIFA Awards 2025. Not 1, 0, nothing, zilch. After the season we had last year, after the way Mikel Arteta has transformed this football club, after performances from our players, we walked away with absolutely nothing from this ceremony. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Maybe the awards do not matter that much. Maybe we should just focus on what happens on the pitch. And look, I get that argument. I really do. But these awards do matter. They matter for the profile of our club. They matter for attracting future talent. They matter for the confidence of our current players. And most importantly, they are a reflection of how the football world views Arsenal right now. The Team of the Year snub. Let me break down what actually happened at the ceremony, because the details are important here. Arsenal had several players who were in contention to feature in the Team of the Year. Several. These were not just token nominations. These were genuine candidates who had performed at the highest level throughout the season. But when the final 11 was announced, not a single Arsenal player made the cut. Instead, what we saw was Paris Saint-Germain absolutely dominating the Team of the Year. PSG players were scattered throughout that 11. And look, I am not going to sit here and say PSG did not deserve recognition. They won the League One title last season. They won the Champions League last season. Those are massive achievements. But to completely shut out Arsenal, a team that finished second in the Premier League and reached the semi-final of the Champions League, feels harsh. It feels very harsh indeed. The three Premier League representatives who did make it into the Team of the Year were Gianluigi Donnarumma from Manchester City, Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool, and Cole Palmer from Chelsea. Now, let me be clear about something. All three of these players had excellent seasons. I am not going to disrespect their achievements. Van Dijk was rock solid for Liverpool as they won the Premier League. Palmer had a breakthrough season at Chelsea. Donnarumma has been excellent in goal for City. But here is my question for you Gooners. Did Arsenal not have players who deserved to be in that conversation? What about our defenders who kept us in the title race for so long? What about our midfielders who control games throughout the season? What about our attackers who scored crucial goals in the Premier League and Champions League? It just feels like Arsenal were overlooked once again. Declan Rice and the Puskas Award. Now let me talk about Declan Rice, because this one really stings. Declan Rice was nominated for the Puskas Award for his second free kick against Real Madrid back in April. And if you remember that goal, if you watched that match, you know exactly why it was nominated. That was an absolute screamer. The technique, the power, the placement, everything about that free kick was world-class. Rice was up against some serious competition, though. The award ended up going to Argentine winger Santiago Montiel, who scored a stunning acrobatic goal for Independiente against Independiente Rivadavia back in May. Now I have seen Montiel's goal. It was spectacular. An overhead kick, incredible athleticism, the kind of goal that makes you jump out of your seat. So I am not going to say he did not deserve to win. But come on, Rice's free kick against Real Madrid was not just any goal. That was against one of the biggest clubs in world football. That was in a crucial Champions League match. That was a moment of pure quality from our midfielder. And once again, Arsenal walk away with nothing. Mikel Arteta misses out on best coach. This is the one that really frustrates me, Gooners. Mikel Arteta was nominated for the Best Men's Coach Award. And in my opinion, in the opinion of many Arsenal supporters, he absolutely deserved to win it. Look at what this man has done with our football club. Look at the transformation. Look at the identity he has built. Look at the way we play football now compared to a few years ago. But Arteta was beaten to the prize by PSG's Luis Enrique. Enrique won the award after PSG won both League One and the Champions League last season. And I will be fair here. Winning the Champions League is the biggest achievement in club football. It is the trophy every manager dreams of lifting. So from that perspective, I can understand why Enrique won. But let me put this into context for you. Arteta took Arsenal to second place in the Premier League. We were in the title race for most of the season. We reached the semi-final of the Champions League. We beat Real Madrid in the Champions League. We played some of the best football Arsenal has played in years. And Arteta did all of this while continuing to develop young players, while building a sustainable project, while creating a genuine title-challenging team. The other nominees for the coaching award included Liverpool's Arne Slot, Chelsea's Enzo Maresca, and Barcelona's Hansi Flick. All excellent managers. All had good seasons with their respective clubs. But for me, the work Arteta is doing at Arsenal deserved more recognition. The Best Men's Player Award. The Best Men's Player of 2025 went to Ousmane Dembele of PSG. Dembele also won the Ballon d'Or earlier this year, according to the article. So this has been an incredible period for the French winger, and I have got to give credit where credit is due. Dembele was absolutely sensational last season. The article tells us that Dembele finished last season with 35 goals in 53 matches. 35 goals. That is an incredible return for a winger. He helped PSG win League One. He helped them win the Champions League. He was one of the standout performers in European football. So, I am not going to argue with his individual awards. But here is what frustrates me as an Arsenal supporter. We do not have a player who is in that conversation right now. We do not have a player who is challenging for the Ballon d'Or or the Best FIFA Men's Player Award. And that is something we need to address if we want to get back to the very top of European football. Arsenal's season in context. Now, let me take a step back and talk about Arsenal's season that was being judged at these awards, because I think it is important to put everything into perspective. Despite failing to win a trophy, Arsenal enjoyed what the article describes as an impressive season under Arteta. We finished second in the Premier League. We reached the semi-final of the Champions League. Let me talk about the Premier League campaign first. The Gunners were in the title race up until a disappointing run during the middle of the campaign. We had chances. We were right there challenging. But then we hit a rough patch. We dropped points in games we should have won. We lost momentum at the worst possible time, and that allowed Liverpool to run away and win the Premier League title. That middle-of-the-season collapse is going to haunt us for a long time, because we were good enough. We had the quality. We had the depth. We had everything we needed to win the league. But we just could not maintain consistency over the full season. And in a title race, consistency is everything. The Champions League journey. But while the Premier League campaign ended in disappointment, our Champions League run was genuinely exciting. Arsenal had an excellent run to the last four. We won 6 of our 8 league fixtures in the Champions League group stage and knockout rounds. 6 wins out of 8 games. That is a fantastic record at that level of competition. And look at who we beat along the way. We beat PSV. That was a professional performance. We controlled the tie. We did what we needed to do. But the big one, the result that showed we belong at the elite level, was beating Real Madrid. We beat Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in the world, a team that has won the Champions League more times than anyone can count. We went up against them, and we won. That victory over Real Madrid was a statement. It showed that Arsenal can compete with anyone on our day. It showed that we are not intimidated by the big names. It showed that Arteta has built a team that can perform on the biggest stages. But then we came up against PSG in the semi-final, and this is where our Champions League journey ended. PSG went on to win the whole competition. They were the eventual champions of Europe. So losing to them in the semi-final is no disgrace. But still, we were so close to reaching a Champions League final. So close to having a chance to win the biggest trophy in club football. This season's strong start. Now, let me talk about where Arsenal are right now, because this is important for understanding why the award snub feels so frustrating. The article tells us that Arsenal have made a phenomenal start to the current campaign and look on course to compete on all 4 fronts. In the Premier League, we are flying. The article says we sit top of the Premier League on 36 points from our 16 matches. Top of the league Gunners. That is where we want to be. That is where this club belongs. After the disappointment of finishing second last season, we have come back stronger. We have learned from our mistakes. And right now, we are leading the title race. In the Champions League, the form is even more impressive. Arteta's side are at the summit of the Champions League with 18 points from 6 games. 18 points from 6 games. That is a perfect record in European football's elite competition. We are not just competing in the Champions League. We are dominating it. We are showing everyone that Arsenal belong among the very best teams in Europe. Cup competitions on the horizon. The cup competitions are also looking promising for Arsenal. In the Carabao Cup, we face Crystal Palace in the quarterfinal next week. Palace are a good side. They will make it difficult. But if we play to our potential, if we bring the same intensity we have shown in the League and Champions League, we should be able to progress to the semi-finals. The FA Cup campaign kicks off in January with a tie against Portsmouth. Portsmouth are a championship side, which means they will be playing in the second tier of English football. On paper, this is a match Arsenal should win comfortably, but we all know the FA Cup can produce surprises. We need to approach that game with respect and professionalism. The exciting thing is that Arsenal are genuinely competing on all 4 fronts right now. Premier League, Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, that is what a top club should be doing. That is what Arsenal used to do regularly. And under Arteta, we are getting back to that level. The immediate challenge. But before we get too carried away with cup competitions and title races, Arsenal have an immediate challenge to focus on. The article tells us that next up for the Gunners is a Premier League fixture against Everton on Saturday at 8 p.m. We will be hoping to follow up a narrow win over Wolves on the weekend. That Wolves game was tough. The article describes it as a narrow win, which suggests it was a tight match. Maybe we did not play our best football. Maybe we had to grind out the result. But you know what? Those are the kind of wins that win you titles. The ability to win when you are not at your best. The ability to find a way to get 3 points even on a difficult day. That is what separates champions from nearly teams. Now we face Everton. And Everton away is never an easy fixture. It does not matter what position they are in the league table. It does not matter what form they are in. When Arsenal go to Goodison Park, it is always a battle. The atmosphere is intense. The tackles are flying. Everton will be right up for this game. But if Arsenal want to stay top of the Premier League, if we want to maintain this phenomenal start to the season, we need to beat Everton. 3 points. Nothing less. We need to show the same quality that has got us to the top of the table. We need to show the same determination that saw us beat Wolves. We need to keep this momentum going. What this all means. So let me bring this all together for you Gooners. Arsenal missed out completely at the Best FIFA Awards 2025. No individual honors. No players in the Team of the Year. Arteta missed out on the Coaching Award. Rice missed out on the Puskas Award. It was a disappointing night for everyone connected with Arsenal Football Club. But here is the thing. Awards are nice. Recognition is nice. But what really matters is what happens on the pitch. And right now, on the pitch, Arsenal are flying. We are top of the Premier League. We are top of the Champions League group. We are competing on all 4 fronts. We are playing some of the best football in Europe. Maybe being overlooked at these awards will give our players extra motivation. Maybe it will give Arteta extra motivation. Maybe it will make everyone at the club even more determined to prove the doubters wrong. Because the best response to being snubbed is to go out and win trophies. Real trophies. Premier League titles. Champions League trophies. FA Cups. That is what matters. PSG dominated the awards because they won the Champions League. Fair enough. They deserve their moment in the spotlight. But now it is time for Arsenal to create our own moments. It is time for us to win our own trophies. It is time for us to remind the world that Arsenal Football Club is one of the biggest and best teams in football. The season is long. We have got a huge match against Everton coming up on Saturday night. Then we have got cup competitions to focus on. Then we have got the business end of the Premier League and Champions League campaigns. There is still everything to play for. So forget about the FIFA Best Awards Gooners. Forget about the snubs. Forget about the lack of recognition. Let's focus on what we can control. Let's focus on supporting this team. Let's focus on backing Arteta and the players. Let's focus on winning actual silverware. Because at the end of the season, nobody is going to remember who made the FIFA Team of the Year. But everyone will remember who won the Premier League. Everyone will remember who won the Champions League. And I genuinely believe this Arsenal team has what it takes to challenge for both. That's all from me today, Gooners. Let me know in the comments what you think about Arsenal's snub at the FIFA Best Awards. Do you think our players deserve more recognition? Do you think Arteta should have won the coaching award? And most importantly, what's your prediction for the Everton game on Saturday? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Arsenal Daily News, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Come on, you Gunners. Let's go win some trophies.